Hello, my name is Walter Timilty, and it is my privilege to serve as your state senator here in the Massachusetts State Senate. A very hearty welcome and sincere congratulations to our Cunningham School fifth graders. I am so very excited for you for the opportunities that lie ahead in middle school. And today it's my privilege to host you on a tour of the Massachusetts State House. Here, currently, I'm standing on the rostrum, which is where our Senate President, Senator Karen Spilka, presides from. She is our chief presiding officer of this body and is elected by her peers. Now, up on this rostrum, one of the most visible tools of presiding over this Massachusetts State Senate session here in the Senate chamber is the gavel. Frequently, I have presided over this body in my 3.5 years here serving the people of Milton in this body. And as I mentioned earlier, the gavel is one of the more visible tools of presiding. Now, in order to start a session, you would bang the gavel and say, Senate will come to order. Senate will come to order. That is also how you adjourn the session. Senate will stand adjourned. Or put the Senate into recess. The Massachusetts State Senate will stand in recess. Now, if you look behind me, this large chair in the middle is the Senate President's chair. During session, while debate is continuing on, the Senate President might sit down and confer with a fellow member like myself or a member of her staff to talk about matters of policy, and in the case of a senator, matters that are important to our district, and also, of course, important to the Commonwealth. Now, as set by the Constitution, there are 40 members of the Massachusetts State Senate. Each state senator is assigned a desk. My desk that has been assigned to me is desk number 10. So if you'll take a walk with me, we'll go over to my desk and I'll show you how it is. Thank you. Here is my desk, desk number 10. Of course, this is where, when I debate and address the body, as I did moments ago, on a bill pertaining to mailing ballots to each and every registered voter across the Commonwealth to ensure safety and ballot access during the COVID-19 pandemic. In this chamber, which, as you can tell and see, is beautiful and ornate, a couple of things that I'd like to point out to you. Right there is the desk of the Senate Assistant Clerks who keep track of each and every measure that is addressed here in the body. Straight ahead is Senate Legal Counsel. Senate Legal Counsel and Assistant Legal Counsel offers legal opinions on every matter that is addressed here in the body. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, this is where I will address the body from. Now, over at the clerk's desk, just an interesting point of view, there is a guest book. When a famous guest visits the chamber, the Senate President will invite the guest to sign the guest book. And just to give you an example, back in 1975, my Uncle Joe Timilty was a state senator at the time. He brought in then Governor James Earl Carter, the former governor of Georgia, into the body. Then former Governor James Earl Carter was ramping up to run for the presidency of the United States, and of course later became our president, the 39th president of the United States of America. In this chamber, then Governor Carter signed the guest book and wrote, Jimmy Carter, future president of the United States. Just to give you a little bit of history, and I'm very proud of the fact that my uncle brought this future president of the United States into the Senate chamber. Now, here in this chamber, we are directly below the Golden Dome, and as I mentioned earlier, there are 40 state senators as set by the Constitution, 39 of whom sit around this circle of desks. The 40th, of course, is our Senate President, who is elected by her peers and is our presiding officer, as I mentioned earlier. Voting in the state Senate is still conducted by voice vote. However, emergency orders have been added to our Senate rules, permitting remote voting to preserve social distancing during the COVID-19 pandemic and, of course, the subsequent state of emergency that has been declared by Governor Baker. Most of the room has been changed from the original bullfinch design, but the sunburst ceiling remains the same. Emblems symbolizing commerce, agriculture, war, and peace are located in the four corners of the ceiling of this chamber. High above the chamber are the public galleries. Marble busts of state and national figures stand in the wall niches. Busts of Presidents Washington and Lincoln are situated behind the Senate President's desk. Near the visitors area is a bust of the Marquis de Lafayette, a great friend of the American people, who visited this chamber on his way to the cornerstone for the Bunker Hill Monument in 1825. Several presidents, including Jackson, Monroe, and Van Buren, along with a future president, President James Earl Carter, have been welcomed here. It was in this chamber, too, that Angelina Grimke made political history when in 1838, she offered remarks advocating for the abolition of slavery. Angelina Grimke was the first woman to address a United States legislative body. Hello. We are now in what is called the Senate Reading Room. The Senate Reading Room, or Senate Reception Room, long ago was the original Massachusetts State Senate Chamber. And the current Senate Chamber, which is across the hall in what is called the Senate Lobby, was the House of Representatives Chamber. Now, if you look around this room, this beautiful room, by the way, you'll see many portraits hanging up on the walls and up on the balcony, which of course used to be the balcony for the general public when this was the Massachusetts State Senate Chamber. And the portraits you see are of former Senate presidents. There is a tradition here that when Massachusetts State Senate presidents are about to retire, they commission an artist to paint a portrait of themselves. And it is incumbent upon the next Senate president to have what's called a hanging ceremony, where the portrait literally is hanged, and ceremonial in that the former Senate president will invite his former colleagues, friends, and family to observe the hanging. Now, if you look around the room, there are some extremely famous individuals, not only in the history of the Massachusetts Bay Colony at one time, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but also the United States of America. First and foremost, over here we have President Calvin Coolidge. President Coolidge was the president of the Massachusetts State Senate, as you can read here on the plaque, from 1914 to 1950. He served with my great-grandfather, Senator James P. Timilty. My great-grandfather, James P. Timilty, was the first state senator from Roxbury, and the Timilty Middle School is named after him, which is something my family and I are very proud of. President Coolidge was also the governor of the Commonwealth from 1919 to 1920, and he was the president of the United States from 1923 to 1929. I have been told, unconfirmed however, that my great-grandfather was President Coolidge's campaign manager. Now that is unconfirmed, and I have not received any clarification as to whether my great-grandfather was his campaign manager rounding up votes for the Massachusetts State Senate presidency, for the governor of the Commonwealth, or for the presidency of the United States. So it's a little bit of urban legend, but it's something I'm fond to recount. Now, if you look at some of the other portraits over here, most notably, you have a picture of former Senate President, State Senator Therese Murray from Plymouth. Senate President Murray was a pioneer, and is a pioneer. She was the first woman to preside over the Massachusetts State Senate. Since then, 3 of our last 4 Senate presidents are women, something that I and the body are very proud of. Now, if you look over here, you have a portrait of Horace Mann, who was the president of the Massachusetts State Senate from 1836 to 1837. And this was a gift of the Massachusetts Teachers Association in 1972, as the plaque reads, due to Horace Mann's wonderful contribution to education all across our great nation here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So this is our Senate Reading Room. It is frequently used for meetings, for conferences. It's a place where if I have constituents in, visiting to talk about an issue, we can meet here. It's also a room that we can conduct meetings in while we're in session. Welcome to Nurses Hall. Nurses Hall is part of the 1895 expansion of the State House. This room is largely made of Provenzano marble. It is called Nurses Hall because of the statue that stands before us of an Army war nurse, located here, of course, on your right. It was sculpted in 1914 by Bella Pratt. It was the first statue erected in honor of the women of the North who so courageously served on behalf of the Union Army during the Civil War. Nurses Hall also features several murals by Robert Reed depicting events crucial to the commencement of the American Revolution. Paul Revere's Ride of April 19, 1775 is on the left. The Boston Tea Party is on the right. The central panel portrays the true beginnings of the colonists break with England. Fiery orator James Otis is pictured arguing against the writs of assistance, which allowed British soldiers to enter private homes and shops in search of smuggled goods. Refusing payment from the Boston merchants who retained him, Otis presented his case in February of 1761. Although he did not win the case, Otis was described by John Adams as a flame of fire. Then and there, the child independence was born. Welcome to Memorial Hall, or what is also referred to as the Hall of Flags. Please come on in. This is a very special hall, as you can tell. It is a place where all of our Massachusetts servicemen and servicewomen are both honored and remembered. The return of the colors, shown in Edward Simmons' mural on your right, depicts the return of the flags that Governor Andrew had given the Massachusetts regiments as they departed to fight in the Civil War. This ceremony, which took place December 22nd, 1865, started a significant tradition called Forefathers' Day. Flags have been returned after duty in every war since then, including the Spanish-American War, World Wars I and II, the Korean War, the Berlin Emergency, and the Vietnam War. This hall was built of beautiful Italian marble to appropriately display these flags. If you take a close look, you will see that these are transparencies of flags, not the actual flags. In 1987, the original flags were moved to environmentally controlled storage by textile conservators. There are over 400 flags in the State House collection. Presently, a history and catalog of the flags is being prepared. And once the State House renovations are completed, it is expected that the flags will once again be displayed, but on a rotating basis. Edward Simmons depicted the Battle of Concord in the mural to your left. In front of you is Henry Walker's portrayal of the Mayflower Pilgrims as they first sighted land. Behind you is Walker's interpretation of John Eliot preaching to Native Americans. Eliot learned the Algonquin dialect, translated the Bible for Native Americans, and established 14 villages of so-called praying Indians. The stained glass skylight above contains the seals of the original 13 colonies of the United States. The Massachusetts seal is at the center. And if you look right here at the center of the room where these flags proudly stand, you see a gold star flag, which is the symbol for fallen servicemen and servicewomen, whether it be a gold star mother, gold star father, gold star sister, gold star brother, gold star families have paid the ultimate sacrifice for the great sacrifice of their family members. And of course, over here you have the flag of the POW-MIA, which is a tribute to prisoners of war and missing in action from our outstanding military and our brave heroines and heroes who never returned home. And right here where these flags stand, there is a tradition, if a governor passes away, former governor, of course, we hope and pray, the family is provided with the option to host the late governor's wake here in this Memorial Hall. It is officially called Lying in State. And back when former Speaker of the U.S. House, who was a son of Massachusetts from North Cambridge, Thomas P. Tip O'Neill, passed away back in the 1990s, Governor Weld at that time invited the O'Neill family to have Speaker O'Neill's remains lay in state here, as they did. Congressman J. Joseph Moakley, who represented the town of Milton with great distinction, and many other towns in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts also lay in state here when he passed away. So it is a room, a hall, if you will, of great tradition, and it is a hall that pays tribute to the great sons and daughters of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for their heroism and service to the Commonwealth. Hi, welcome to the Great Hall here at the Massachusetts State House. The Great Hall is the newest addition to the State House, completed in 1990. Previously, it was an open space. It was built up from the basement and topped with a glass dome. This magnificent tricolored marble hall is used for official state functions and receptions. The clock was designed by R.M. Fisher, a New York artist, to serve as a functional piece of artwork. Fisher was inspired by the clocks that grace the town halls, churches, and other meeting halls of New England. In an attempt to relate to the space surrounding the clock, he has employed many arcs and circles that echo the architectural elements of the buildings, such as the arched doorways and circular patterns of the marble floor. You can't help but notice the hundreds of flags, literally, that adorn this Great Hall. They are representative of the 351 cities and towns in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So it's often a rite of passage when someone comes into this chamber for the first time, this Great Hall, if you will, and they're a resident of Massachusetts, to look up and find the flag for your hometown. So someday soon, in better times, I will host you here at the State House, and I will bring you in here so that you can find the flag of your hometown. Hello, this is the grand staircase here at the State House. The grand staircase is commonly used for receptions, for ceremonies, for announcements, press conferences put on by such luminaries of the Commonwealth as the Governor of the Commonwealth, the State Senate President, the Speaker of the House, constitutional officers, be it the Treasurer or the State Auditor, various organizations that operate in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and do so much good for all of us. We'll have ceremonies here and or announcements. And also, elected members of the State Senate and the Massachusetts House of Representatives, and of course our Governor and our constitutional officers will invite orchestras, choirs, bands to come in from their corner of the Commonwealth and come here to the State House and perform on the grand staircase, which is an ideal place for performances and to let people bring their part of the Commonwealth right here to the Massachusetts State House. And if you'll follow me, we're going to walk up the stairs for a moment. Here at the top of the grand staircase, we have the grand staircase's window. Since its settlement, Massachusetts has had a series of state seals. The first is shown in the top pane of the painted and stained glass window. Designed in England for the original commercial enterprise, there was the Massachusetts Bay Colony. The seal portrays unrealistically a Native American attired in a grass skirt voicing the plea, "Come over and help us." When Massachusetts became part of the New England Royal Dominion in 1684, a new seal, shown below, the first, was adopted. The family seals of the provincial governors appear on the two-sided panels, and the Revolutionary seal is located at the bottom of the window. This seal portrays a colonist clutching the Magna Carta in one hand and a sword in the other. Our current state motto, Esse petit placidum sub libertate quietum, was adopted at that same time. It means, by the sword we seek peace, but peace only under liberty. Massachusetts adopted its current seal in 1780. It appears just above the Revolutionary seal. A more realistically dressed Native American is shown on a blue background standing below a drawn sword. The star over his shoulder indicates that Massachusetts is one of the original colonies. The motto of the Commonwealth appears at the bottom of the seal. Hi. Thank you very much for coming along on this tour that I had the privilege of conducting for you, as it is my great privilege to work for you and represent you here in the Massachusetts State Senate. I want to wish you all the best in your middle school career. I'm very excited for the opportunities that lie ahead of you in both middle school and high school, and a very hearty, once again, congratulations on graduating from middle school. I look forward to hosting you in this building in person in better and happier times. I hope that you and your families enjoy a wonderfully healthy summer. Thank you.